YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. Today I'm predicting every NFL team starting quarterback for week 1 of the 2021 NFL season. Here we are into mandatory mini camp. So it's definitely getting interesting, mainly with Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, some questions there. Will some of these rookies start? Will all of them start? There's some obvious ones. We'll get through those real quick. Recently did a bunch of different predictions, records, playoffs, and next up is our player rankings heading into the 2021 season. So I wanted to get out of the way who I think the starting quarterbacks would be before I rank every team's starting quarterback. So that's right around the corner, and we'll do every position group for those rankings. So join us for that. Smash that like button, subscribe. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Polls on there, keeping you guys involved. Constant NFL news updates, so check it out. Link in the description comments for anything that you may need. Here's our Twitter. We got some polls going on. You guys voted for division winners recently, and now we're on to who will get the 1 seed, and then we'll go on to who gets the 2 seed, who will get the wild card spots, and then who will win each round of the playoffs. So it's a process, but it's a lot of fun, and this will create a video. I cannot wait to make this video and see what you guys decide. So the obvious. There's a lot of obvious ones here. Had this idea of the video, and I realized a good chunk of them are the obvious ones here. Bills, Josh Allen's going to start. Even though he's a rookie, Zach Wilson will start the Jets. If they still had Sam Darnold, I would still say Zach Wilson, but, it wouldn't be as obvious. Tua Tagovailoa will start for the Dolphins. We expect, if they still had Ryan Fitzpatrick, it might be somewhat of a question, but they're going to start Tua. Dak Prescott starting quarterback as long as he's healthy there for the Dallas Cowboys. The Giants, Daniel Jones, they're rolling with him. They built around him. They believe in him. They want to give him more of a fair shot. He's definitely the guy. Ben Roethlisberger will start for the Steelers. Obviously, they reworked his deal. He's back. It's probably his last year there, but he's the guy. It's pretty obvious. Baker Mayfield had a fantastic season last year. Of course, he'll be the starter here in Stefanski's second year. Justin Herbert had a historic rookie season. He's going to be the starter for the Chargers. Joe Burrow. This one, I guess, could have got a little interesting, but we found out about a month ago that he is set to play week 1 against the Vikings. So it ended up being pretty obvious. So that would be the only thing. What if he has a setback? Not expecting any of that. So maybe one on this list that we can't say one. Well, I guess that kind of applies to everyone. Anybody can get hurt. I don't think any of these guys will. Not predicting it. Lamar Jackson, one of the more dominant players of football, obviously is a starter for the Ravens. Kirk Cousins will start with the Vikings. They did draft Kellen Mond, but that is for the future. Kirk Cousins will be the starter. The Lions acquired Jared Goff. Obviously, he'll be the guy. Carson Wentz, back with Frank Reich. He will be the guy, of course, for the Colts with Phillip Rivers retired. Trevor Lawrence for the Jags, first overall pick. They're going to start him. It may be a little interesting because they do have Beathard and they do have Gardner Minshew. That may make it look interesting, but we'll see what happens with Minshew. That's interesting too because we thought there could be a trade. Trevor Lawrence is the guy. Ryan Tannehill, definitely the guy for the Titans. He proved that. Took over, obviously, a couple years ago from Mariota, and he was supposed to be that guy for the Titans. Patrick Mahomes, arguably the best quarterback in football possibly, and he's going to be the guy for the Chiefs. Matt Ryan, under Arthur Smith, should be interesting. He'll start for the Falcons. Sam Darnold will be the guy for the Panthers. If they still had Teddy, this wouldn't be this easy of a choice prediction here, but they traded a decent amount away for Sam Darnold. He'll be their guy. Kyler Murray for the Cardinals. Hopefully that shoulder's doing okay. I for sure expect it to be good, and he'll be the guy there. Matthew Stafford was acquired by the Rams, and they obviously moved on from Jared Goff. So Stafford will be the guy there. Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, we don't have to go over those ones. And then Derek Carr for the Raiders. Seems like every offseason are the Raiders drafting quarterback? Are they trading Derek Carr? And it ends up being BS. Derek Carr, still there. Still their starting quarterback. Now let's go into the not-so-obvious ones. To me, this one's still obvious, but it is getting a little interesting because they just signed Nick Mullins and they also signed Joe Flacco. They picked up Jamie Newman undrafted, which was very interesting, but he already got waived by them, which was even more interesting. This is pretty damn. I could have put this on the obvious list, but it did become a little more interesting because it is a new coaching staff. Maybe, very, very tiny chances. They don't love the Hurts system, the Hurts, how you have to run, Hurts ball really, and they prefer the Mullins or Flacco. I think that is such a long shot, but it is interesting that they added those quarterbacks. So maybe it is somewhat of a question to some people. That's why I had it here. But I fully expect it to be Jalen Hurts there in Philadelphia. And he impressed last year. He impressed me. I didn't expect. It's not like he played great, crazy good. But, I mean, for a guy that really needed to learn, NFL ball, learn the systems there. And he definitely needed to relax. He kind of was all over the place, too early on to scramble, run circles, get outside the pocket at Oklahoma. Even in his good moments, you can get away with that. But for him to get thrown into that situation and play pretty well and seem like he calmed himself down, relaxed in the pocket, and was able to use his legs as expected, that was pretty impressive. So that's actually a great sign that he's kind of ahead of schedule. I will say if there is a negative in there, when he got thrown, it's tough to get thrown into a bad situation and play that well, so that's positive, obviously, but he got thrown in there, and it was tough for teams to game plan for Hurts. There was really no game plan, and once teams started to figure it out, he kind of came back down to earth a little bit. So how will it be? Now teams know how to game plan against him. Is he, how's it going to be there? So I guess that's a question that we're all waiting to get answered here during the season, of course. I know it'll take more than just one season, obviously. The Saints, Jameis Winston. I think Jameis has got to be the guy. It's definitely interesting because they put Taysom Hill in instead of Jameis Winston last year, and they didn't have a problem putting Teddy Bridgewater in the year before. So that makes you say, well, they didn't really like Winston. They just didn't really feel like he was ready. Maybe the rest of the team wasn't ready because Winston is a little bit different. It's different ball, it's different. It's a little bit different of a system there, how you want to run each game. So they probably didn't want to change too much, in the middle of the season where, a week from now we got to play again. So that makes sense to me. More time for Winston to learn, sit and learn from Drew Brees. And then we kind of got a peek of Drew Brees telling him it's his team now too. We saw that. And they re-signed him. So I think all signs point towards him starting. But, what if they surprise us again and maybe he struggles in camp, not predicting it, and they just go Taysom Hill? It was just there's definitely a possibility. They have Ian Book there as well. Who knows? But I strongly believe it'll be Jameis Winston, just like pretty much all of you out there. Washington football team, I'm going to go Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think most of you will agree with this. Taylor Heineke actually looked pretty damn good when he played. Even right when he came into the league, he would only get a shot in preseason. I thought he always looked pretty solid. And he seems like he got better since then, obviously. And he got a shot, at the end of last year, the playoffs as well against the Buccaneers, who won the Super Bowl. And he was pretty impressive, And, of course, he can continue to get better. I think Washington, with their weapons, have been getting better, obviously, adding Curtis Samuel, so that could help him as well. And they may just like him. Maybe they just want Fitzpatrick in there to help his growth a little more. And, and sitting and learning from watching Fitzpatrick play at this point of his career, probably not going to do much. So maybe they just think just getting, having that mentor, but playing them and developing them that way at the same time. So it's definitely possible Heineke could be the starting quarterback. His teammates like him. See, Chase Young's a full supporter, obviously. I'm sure everyone likes Fitzpatrick as well. But this team has the defense and now the weapons to win now. So maybe they feel a little more comfortable with Fitzpatrick in there, who had the Dolphins playing well enough to possibly sneak into playoffs. I know they missed, but to sneak into the playoffs last year. So maybe they view, they can definitely be a playoff team and more with Fitzpatrick. But maybe this one's, the more I'm talking, more I'm realizing, almost convincing myself. I'm still thinking, obviously, Fitzpatrick is the guy, but it's a little more questionable than maybe a little closer to 50-50. I'm not calling it that. I'm picking Fitzpatrick, but than we once thought, or I once thought. So we'll see. We will see. It's definitely an interesting one, but I do like their roster over there. The Broncos trade for Teddy Bridgewater, but I'm still going Drew Lock. I'm going Drew Lock here, and it's interesting because they trade for Bridgewater, so that means, you would think, some people probably argue they got to be starting him, right? They didn't trade much, worth the gamble. They also, don't have to pay everything he's owed as well, so it's definitely not a huge gamble and definitely worth it. Drew Lock definitely needs more reps to see if he's the guy. Maybe we've seen enough to know he's not the guy that's going to win a Super Bowl, but there's only a handful of those guys in the NFL. You can't snap your finger and end up with one of those guys, so you might as well work with what you got here with a guy that has some upside. I guess the question is, the Broncos, they definitely have a very good roster, talent everywhere. Offensive line, receivers, running backs, defense. We know the defense. Vic Fangio's going to have them balling. So they may just want more of the kind of game manager like Bridgewater. They don't want that guy that's going to turn the ball over and make everything harder. So that'd be the reason they start Bridgewater and they trade for him. But Drew Lock's definitely got potential. It's only been 1 day, now about to be 2, but I've heard things from day 1 yesterday of mandatory minicamp. And I actually, from what I heard, he looked pretty good. You cannot base really anything off that, but it's good. That's comforting, I suppose. I think it's going to be Drew Lock. with a short leash. I think it's going to be Drew Lock with a short leash, meaning that they may pull the trigger and put Teddy Bridgewater in just like that. If they feel week one, anything can happen week one, so maybe they won't base it off that, but they believe they are better than the Giants. They believe that they're a defensive team like them, but they got more talent on both sides of the ball. If Drew Lock can't, handle that, and they feel we would have won with the game manager in, we better do that before it costs us another game. He could have a short leash for those reasons. So definitely interesting. I do think it'll be Lock, though. I really do. And I'm excited to see if he progresses. He had some bad moments last year. He had some bright moments. He has that big playability there. The Bears, I'm going to go Andy Dalton. I've been saying this for a bit. When they signed him, it felt like they signed him with the possibility of being able to trade up and draft a guy, but he's the guy to start now, Dalton that is. And that was the case. They end up trading up and getting Justin Fields. Fantastic. I made a video about this, who should start, who will start for rookie quarterbacks. I believe Justin Fields should start week one. I would start him. I think he's that talented. I mean, if he looks pretty bad in camp, or he doesn't look right, or he's not getting the playbook, sure, then maybe not, but I don't think that'll be the case. But I am predicting them to start Andy Dalton. It's just kind of my feeling after they signed him, and then they're coming out, Nagy coming out and saying that Dalton's our guy. I think it was just yesterday. He said I was on a podcast or something that he basically made it sound like Dalton's got to be the guy week one. He almost guaranteed it. I won't say he guaranteed it, but it really feels like it'll be Dalton. They play the Rams in L.A. Very good defense Sunday night, prime time, week one. That's also another reason why it wouldn't really change my mind, but that's another reason why maybe they'll pump the brakes a little bit. I'm putting Fields in perhaps, but it just really, in the way they structured Dalton's contract too, they could have structured it differently, but it's just everything points towards him being the guy week one. But definitely interesting. You think Fields has got more talent even before playing in the NFL, so it's definitely interesting. New England, it almost feels like it's Cam Newton right now, but I'm sticking to my original prediction, going Mac Jones. Cam Newton's number one at the very early stage, obviously, and they're talking him up. Bill Belichick talking him up. I think it's going to be Mac Jones. I really think Cam Newton lost something with those few injuries a couple years ago. He definitely lost. The ball isn't going where his brain thinks it's going to go. He's just not the same at this point. I think Mac Jones will prove that he's just much more accurate, much more capable of running this offense. The team, it's the safer choice, and it's also the upside choice at the same time. It's the safer choice because he's going to be the more accurate quarterback. He understands the playbook, the system. He's a very smart quarterback. He's going to try to put the ball where you tell him to put the ball. That's what he's going to do. He's going to go through his progressions. Where he thinks he's throwing the ball, it's likely to come out in that spot. Injuries and aging has affected Cam Newton in that category. Plus, he's got upside if you play him now, and he's got a very talented, complete roster around him. For me, all signs make sense towards Mac Jones here. I think they're the better team with him as well. There could be some growing pains, of course, but I know how easy they were to take Cam Newton at times. Just remember Bill Belichick going over to Cam on the bench several times last year, like, all right, you're done for the day. It's just hard to see him start him. I don't know. I know they built it a little better around him, but that really wasn't all of the reasons for the struggles last year. So I'm going Mac Jones. It's got to be Mac Jones. Houston Texans, I just really don't think Deshaun Watson's suiting up week one. I think it's Tyrod Taylor. They do have Davis Mills, but I don't know, they get a little on the weaker side of the roster, throughout the NFL here compared to other teams, I should say. So I don't think throwing in a rookie quarterback, third-round quarterback, would be ideal. Tyrod Taylor has the capabilities of handling this. I think he'll be the guy. New coaching staff. Deshaun Watson's not there to learn anything. He's still holding out, still wants to be traded. They still don't want to trade him. And it's smart of them. You don't want to do this too early. They could, within the contract, they could actually fine him if he sits out as well. And he's got legal situations off the field. Everything points towards they're not going to trade him, but they're probably not starting him week one. Whether they trade him now or in the offseason, the value they're getting is still from the 2022 NFL draft, whether it's now or after the season. And his value doesn't change to me. His value actually could go up because there's legal situations now. So the Texans aren't going to trade him now. It wouldn't be smart to trade him now. And that's kind of off topic a little bit, but he's going to hold out. It really sounds like he is. Who knows? Maybe he'll just show you. I don't want to get fined. I really love football. It does feel like a guy that really loves football and wants to play. So maybe he'll be like, all right, I got to play. I'm going to be I'm going to be dying if I'm not out there playing the game that I love. I feel like Deshaun Watson's I kind of get that from him, but who knows? He says he wants to hold out. I could be wrong. So, but I'm still predicting Tyrod Taylor to be the guy week 1. I think Deshaun Watson could be the starter at some games this year, or once whenever he comes in for the rest of the year. But I think week 1 it's gonna be Tyrod Taylor there. 49ers. I'm gonna go with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's what I'm really on the fence about. Because you trade so much. Well, first of all, you take a quarterback 3rd overall. For me, I'm probably starting them almost no matter the circumstances there. But they trade on top of that, trade a lot away to get Trey Lance. They're kind of gearing their team towards Trey Lance ball. You look at the players they drafted and what schemes they fit best, what styles they fit best. I'm talking about Aaron Banks, Notre Dame guard, fantastic power blocker, and then Trey Sermon, who is a power runner. Those all fit kind of man power schemes, and Trey Lance's running style and the plays that you draw up, the designs you draw up for him kind of fits that. So that's a little different. I think they're not really changing. I think they're adding on top. So that doesn't mean they have to change their whole offense. Therefore, Jimmy could be the starter week 1. So there's a debate within there. But that would be the reason to go Lance, because you're just already gearing yourselves towards a Lance-style system and you want to get going. That'd be the reason. But again, I don't think they're really changing. I think they're kind of adding on top, and that's fantastic, for their offensive system, their playbook. Versatility of Shanahan looks good, But I think if Garoppolo's healthy, which sounds like right now he is, so about George Kittle saying that Garoppolo's got a fire lit, beneath him there, that's fantastic, and he's ready to go. And maybe they'll remember, or they never forgot that, Garoppolo was a piece, maybe it wasn't a giant piece, but he was being the quarterback was a pretty big piece of getting them the Super Bowl, 1 win away from being the champion. So, my thinking is he starts early on, and I think Trey Lance is eventually coming in, maybe before halfway through the season. But I think week 1, Jimmy Garoppolo is the guy. But that one's definitely on the fence. And then leaves us with the Packers, the whole Aaron Rodgers situation. I know I've been pretty stubborn about this, but I'm sticking to it. I think Aaron Rodgers is the week 1 starter. A lot of you disagree. We had a poll on Twitter. It was almost a month ago, and you guys actually, most of you voted for he would be traded. He won't be starting for the Packers week 1. So I think, it seems like a lot of people out there just not only don't think Rodgers start week 1, but maybe even worse for the Packers' sake, Packers fans' sake, something different, I guess, on another team. I would disagree with that. I definitely think there's a shot he's not starting week 1 because he's going to continue this holdout. But I think both sides, Rodgers, is he going to really want to sit out, the year, with his guys, his guys, Devontae Adams. I mean, this is brothers out there, he loves playing with those guys, and I don't think he's going to leave them out there. I think he's going to want to play. And I think the same thing on the other side. The Packers are, all right, we're contending. We just made it to back-to-back NFC Championship games. We need this guy out there. Not week 2. We need him out there week 1 because one game could be the difference. How important that 1 seed is. So I think they'll kind of, they could work on that contract that they were working on. So I think the two sides kind of budge almost at the same time. And I think he gets out there. There is a shot he's not starting week 1. I don't think he sits out the whole year. Similar to the Texans situation with Deshaun Watson, though, in terms of the trade. Again, I don't think they trade him, but if they are going to trade him, there's no point to trading him now. What is, the value you're going to get? I mean, you can get picks and player, but where is the big value at and what you're going to get in return? It's first-round picks, multiple picks starting in 2022. If you trade them now, if you trade them in the offseason, it's still 2022 picks. It's not helping you trading him now. It would help you if his value would go down in the offseason compared to now. Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, these guys' values aren't going to go down. There's no point to trading him now. If he's going to sit, you let him sit. Don't let anybody else have him. Get your picks. That's the same picks you're going to get, So it wouldn't make any sense at all to trade him now at this point. No sense at all, in my opinion. So it should be everyone's opinion. So unless they get the jackpot, but you're going to get that anyways he still wants to be traded in the offseason. So I think both sides budge. I think he's the guy week 1. Again, maybe I'm stubborn. I seem to be hesitant to change my mind a lot on things, but that's worked out, I feel like. So that's where I'm at with that one. So those are my predictions. Every team starting quarterback for the 2021 season. It was very important to me to do this because next I'm going to be ranking every starting quarterback. So I wanted you to see who I view as a starting quarterback first because it is opinion-based, obviously. So ranking the quarterbacks, in a very, very near future video. And then we'll go running backs, receivers, etc. Down the line, we'll rank some units, offenses, defenses. Very excited about all that. Do this every single year. So hopefully you join us for that. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Follow that Twitter. That Twitter is very, very important to follow for any time of the year there. Link in the description comments for anything you need. It's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.